Farmland is something that's often talked about by yourself. Last time I spoke to Mary Katusi, you mentioned it, and Rickards, Faber. But for the average guy, like, how do we have access to buying farmland? So we have the gold and silver, we're into hard assets, maybe a producing business of our own, and then we want to expose ourselves to farmland. What would be your thoughts on that?
Wide variety of opportunities to be in the farmland business. Somebody needs to decide if they want to do that. Farmland as an asset class is up approximately 100% in 6 years. The time to have wanted to have been in farmland would have been the middle of the last decade when no one cared about it.
Globally it's up?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not trying to say that the game is over, but certainly it's a much more popular asset class. There are probably 300 equities worldwide that represent certificated ownership in farmland. And if an investor wanted to contact Sprott about his or her unique circumstances and needs, we could expose them to a series of different farmland investments. The other thing that investors might want to consider in that context are companies that are, as an example, irrigation companies or input companies, people that produce ag minerals or fertilizers, or if they're interested in U.S. agriculture, the most important component of U.S. agriculture, which is just now beginning to get traction, is investing in water. And there are a couple companies in the United States that represent the conjunction of agriculture and water investing because they hold their water in the context of water rights that are used for farming operations.
You guys are doing this with publicly traded companies or privately traded companies?
Publicly traded companies for the most part. We are active in private equity markets in agriculture and have been for 20 years. And certainly we're conversant with regards to that. And by the way, we're also conversant with private equity markets in water. But for most investors, the public equity markets are the easiest, and pardon my pun, but the most liquid way to invest in either agriculture or water.
You touched on water. What other kind of favorite types of farmland do you like?
In terms of farmland, what would we like right now? My suspicion is if I personally were going to make a farmland investment right now, I would make it either in the Ukraine or in Russia. I would make it in a place where everybody else was a distressed seller. Certainly prices of farmland in places like Saskatchewan up 100%, Iowa up 125 or 130%, California up 50 or 60% despite water allocations that went to zero. Those markets relative to when I was an active agricultural investor have risen too much. I suspect if I had a third choice as a place to be an inbound investor in agricultural real estate, I would take very high quality land in Argentina, precisely because Mrs. Kirchner is such a ratchet head, Mrs. Kirchner being the woman who runs that place, that money has been driven from there. It's important as a resource investor, irrespective of the class, to invest in asset classes where the risks have made themselves manifest recently. It's important to invest when truly there is blood on the streets and people hate the asset class.
What about the Russian or Ukrainian stock market in general? Would it be something you're looking at now?
I am not merely looking at the Russian stock market, I'm investing in the Russian stock market as we speak. Probably too early, I always am. But talk about an asset class that was already cheap and has fallen off the cliff. The Russian indexes, particularly the Russian resource companies, got hammered in the 2011 to 2013 timeframe, and now they've fallen by 40%. This is one of the great near-term bear markets that I've experienced in my life, and of course, I'm a bear hunter if nothing else.